SBA EIDL Loan Increase Update 2022. Hi, welcome in. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. And in this video, I'm going to go into what the most recent update is with EIDL, how it's still available, what you need to do, who to submit this to, the $10 billion in grants, loans, equity, and all other types of business funding. I'll even get into the PPP, the employee retention tax credit, and much more future outcomes. But before I get started, if you're watching me here on the live, please give me a hashtag live in the comments and a hashtag replay if you're watching later on. So I'm going to jump right into it. I have a document that I put together, and I received an email from the SBA. Plenty of you have possibly received this. It's not going to be in your portal, your SBA portal anymore, because it's been shut down as of May 16th. So this comes to news for those of you who submitted an increase, a reconsideration, a loan modification, gone through the whole appeal process and so forth before or on the May 6th deadline for those increases. This is not for those of you who are new applicants. Let's just get that out of the way, because I know a lot of people will ask me that question. And the EIDL loan application has been closed. They're still continuously shutting down applications, but there is some back-end funds available. Now let me go into this email that I've received and that I've had in accounts. Other people have been showing me and telling me, hey, this is what I've received today and what you need to do to move forward. So you'll really just get, like in a generic email, you get the sent, you get the subject, and then they'll be saying, hey, if you still wish to proceed with your loan, you'll want to email this right here is what you want to do. And again, I'm looking at my document that I put together here and through that email. So it's going to be PDC accounts COVID loan closing at sba.gov. And again, I'll try to leave this for you down below in the description if you're later watching this on YouTube. Right now, I am streaming on TikTok for those of you who could join me at this time. And if you're unsure about who I am, I come out with all small business loans, not only EIDL, but grants, PPP, employee retention tax credit, other COVID relief bills, other stimulus programs, private lending options through business funding of all types, non-private lending, traditional banks, online, physical location, building business credit, and everything in between that. So if you have not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did, so you do not miss any of the most future and up-to-date information coming to you like I have right now with EIDL. So once you submit it to this email, again, that is PDC accounts COVID loan closing at sba.gov, and it is in that format because it's been closing for an extended amount of time now. If you've been unaware, if you've probably been living underneath a rock for some time, the EIDL has been exhausted. But they are saying that there are some funds still available. Now, it may not be distributed to every person right now who is in the queue. At a time, there was like, yes, we're going to get it out to everybody. But right now, it isn't for certain. So not everybody will be receiving one, even if you're in the queue. You just have to have more of a standout profile, and they're looking at different sets within their system. So that's where you'll want to send it to. And then they will arrange for you to complete the closing by mail. That's how it's going to go, the communication back and forth, not through your SBA portal. So they're not opening it up again, at least anytime soon. So for verification purposes, this is the information you'll need to provide. And before I get into all of that, some of this information you can easily find and simply through your documentation that you were able to download. So I made a video not too long ago before the May 16th deadline of closing of the SBA portal that you should have gone into your back office and downloaded all the documents that were given in there. Now, I won't go into all that, like the 4506T and any other forms you needed that were required from you. I can spend a little bit of time talking about that another time, but I released a video on that already. So I won't go into every single piece of that document and where to locate it and so forth. But you should have gone into your back office and downloaded all that documents, because it will be easier for you to supply what I'm about to give you right now. So you're going to need a COVID EIDL loan number, which you should have been given. And a lot of this is to verify that it is you, that the person who is submitting it is somebody that's already registered in their system, and you're possibly already in the queue and so forth. COVID EIDL application number, you will need a contact name, so make sure your name is on there. your contact email address, your contact phone number, your mailing address, street, city, state, zip, and that goes down from the address of all 4 of those. So it's all with street, city, states, and zip. And then they request that you respond back within 14 days of when you received the email, when it was given to you. So some of you may have gotten it the same day. Others of you may have gotten it a day before or a day after, maybe a little bit pushed out. But a lot of people are getting it on the same day. So that's something you have to respond back to within 14 days of that email sent to you to continue with your loan. Don't be a person who puts it off unless you know you don't need it or you won't qualify for it. And it comes to my attention a lot when people try to get an EIDL loan, they jump on it right away. Why? Because it is that important to you and to your business. And there's a lot of reasons for it. So make sure you do that. And if they do not hear from you, the SBA will cancel this loan. So there's nothing more to be said there. So if you are in the queue, you've been getting processed, you received this email, that's how you go off of it. And if you haven't received anything, then you may want to check in with them. Not at that exact email that I provided with you. I've made other video content on SBC recons on who, PDC recons on who to submit that to. But I wouldn't take the time to do that if you didn't receive that email. But make sure you look everywhere, not only in your primary, but look into your social, your promotions, your spam box, and everywhere else wherever you sent that email, requested your SBA loan through, and what email address. So finally, if you do not wish to proceed with your loan, then you'll want to email a different one right here. This is PDC accounts COVID EIDL cancellation requests at SBA.gov. So just a little bit different there. And that's who you'll want to get a hold of if you don't want to get your loan processed. Perhaps you had a change of heart. Perhaps you maybe spoken to me and you received what you needed. You just don't want to go through the process of just applying a little bit more information. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to be forgiven of this amount, or I don't want to continue to be in this kind of debt, because there are a lot of problems with people. And I made a video on this yesterday. I released it to the channel on YouTube today, I believe, yes, where there were EIDL loan applicants who received funding who didn't really need the funds. And then there were people who did. And those who didn't need them are really going to have a hard time getting approved for a lot of other funding sources during today's market if we're heading into this impending recession, because there's a cap for about every industry and there are reserves, especially through the bank. And what private lenders are trying to do is restrict certain individuals for receiving more funding. The SBA EIDL and other private loans are separate. They get that. We get that. But they'll see what you have in here, and then they'll see that, okay, well, you just received an extra $30,000, $40,000. We're not going to try to give you that much. We need to allocate this funding for this specific individual who really needs it and who has this fundability criteria that they meet. And there's a lot more that goes into that, especially when we're talking about, I don't want to get too far into taxes, but when we're talking about other lending solutions. So that's where you'll want to email if you want to decline it. And if you have any questions, you can call the disaster customer service team. And there's a number there provided. I don't know if you'll want to write, you might not need to write this down. Again, it's when you get the number or the email sent to you, that's where you'll see all this information. Or email, and then you'll get an email for that disaster customer service at SBA.gov. And then you'll have a little signature thank you being sent from that individual. So that is on the EIDL side of this equation. I've just went through my document, the email that I've received, and I've seen what other people have been getting. They're very similar, and there may just be a little bit of a different signature who's being sent from, but that's how it would go back through the EIDL loan officers, and they'll be able to handle your file. So again, if you have an EIDL loan increase, you submitted it on May 6th or before May 6th, not any time after, and you're eligible to receive funding, then that's what you want to do if you receive that email. So make sure you look everywhere for it. Now, let me quickly transition into this 10 billion grants, business loans, and equity for those of you in here right now, and then we'll kind of close up shop here. So there is funding out there. If you can do a quick Google search for SSBCI and your state next to it, not your county, not your city, state. So you can type in SSBCI state name, or you can type in the full instead of the abbreviation, it'd be State Small Business Credit Initiative. Next to it, with your state, press enter, and then locate usually the first link. If there's usually no ads at that point. So you'll want to locate the first link. You can also look underneath that one. They may be similar, may just be a little bit of a different reference underneath the same website. But what's happening is the Treasury Department has partnered up with these organizations that are able to give you funding at a maximum up to $10 billion dispersed with all of these states. And so some states are already ready, some of them are not. People have been asking me that question. How about Florida? How about Mississippi? How about Alabama and all this? And in time, it will be. It's just right now that funding hasn't been dispersed. You'll see the programs available, perhaps, but that doesn't mean that they have received the funding that they can then send out to you. And if you want to learn more about that, I made a video on the SSBCI program. You can go to my YouTube channel, or I'll try to leave it down below in the description if this is where you're watching it from. And I'll link you to that video where I show you hands-on how to search for them, and then how to access that website, how to see the differentiation between different state programs and how to get access and how to find them, and what are some alternatives, which I want to jump into shortly. But first, PPP, nothing really happening, just a forgiveness. Make sure you're eligible, and if you are, how much? That's the question. Are you forgiven for all of it, for some of it? Because a lot of people misused those funds. A lot of fraudulent activity that I've been seeing, I've been speaking to people with, and it's unfortunate that they've been miscommunicating, misinterpreted how they've been putting their funds, how they've been using it, and it's just caused a lot of fraudulent activity. On top of that, we have the Employee Retention Tax Credit. If you don't know about this, you can get up to $26,000 per employee on qualified wages, usually between 2020 and 2021, those comparable to 2019, and 2022 comparable to those as well. And you can get that started. It doesn't have to be that you started an application between 2020 and 2021. It's when you file your 941 form, your last one, and you're given time thereafter, and you just have to amend them with your 941X. And that's more of a revision. So if you want to learn more about the Employee Retention Tax Credit and how you can get up to $26,000 per employee as a refundable tax credit and use these funds however you like, you don't have to repay it back. And it's been giving a lot of room for people to grow, pay certain things off, and it is a payroll tax credit, and that's how you can get it through this. And those of you who were able to retain employees during those hard times, and you can qualify based on gross receipts reduction, depending on the year, 50% or 20%, 20% 2021, 50% or more in all quarters of 2020. And a few in 2021. And then you could have a supply chain issue, production, and a lot of other reasoning behind it, and or full or partial shutdown of your business, a government mandate, something placed on you where you were restricted, you can only perform certain things, or none of it at all. So there's more reasons that your CPA really couldn't help you with this. It is best to go through a payroll expert, management expert, and a specialist team. So that's all in the bio for you guys to learn more about. And at any point, if you guys need help getting business funding, please refer to the bio. You guys can click the link if you're watching it here on TikTok. But if you're here on another channel, in the description, there will be a business loan questionnaire form you can fill out and simply get in touch with me. I can get you a very personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options just by literally filling out a very fast and simple questionnaire that takes no longer than 30 seconds. Once it lands in my email, I will analyze, evaluate it, and give you a proper response back, very thoroughly broken down from intro all the way to the conclusion. These programs, qualifications, how they work, bonus tips, bonus material, the conclusion on what I would do, how I would proceed, and so much more bonus material, bonus tips, as I already mentioned. A lot of people are taking advantage of this, and this is the best way to get a hold of me if you're asking yourself that question, because I get a lot of submissions daily, people wanting to get on phone calls. I set a lot of direct messenger chats, consultations through Facebook Messenger these days, and a lot of it can be on phone calls, and it would just need to be something that is very time and energy efficient, because if I spend a lot of time on the phone every day, I don't want to do that, and this wouldn't be for me. And there is a time and a place for that. Again, everybody has a different situation. So that questionnaire will be in the bio if you're here on TikTok or anywhere else. And if you're in YouTube watching this later on, which will be uploaded there, make sure to check out in the description. So that being said, let me give you guys some tips if you're looking for an EIDL alternative, since we're on that matter. EIDLs are not the end-all be-all. Sure, they give you a 3.75%, 3%. If we're talking about home mortgages, 3%, 6%. A lot of you guys want those lower interest rates. And I get that's a very attractive solution, having 30-year terms, monthly repayments, and this and that, these eligibility requirements. It just sounds much more better and easier. And you're comparing that to a private lending option, and you're rate shopping. So a lot of us have gone into this bubble where we are rate shopping. And I know very well without a business owner telling me that. And I know we're term shopping, we are price shopping for this, we're looking for the lowest price. I see it every single day. And what I say to that is, instead of looking at it from that point of view, for one, understand you need to create a business plan for how you're strategically going to be using these funds. Because if you don't understand how to allocate, if you're going to use it all for one thing, sure, but if you're going to allocate these funds for different purposes, perhaps you have a primary use for growth and expansion, maybe it's a primary use for survival money, and or flip-flopped, you're using the two, then you have to have an understanding of, hey, if I'm going to use this to buy new equipment, what would getting this new equipment do to my business? Am I going to just keep this truck on my fleet, but it's not on the ground, it's just sitting there collecting dust until I get a new employee that can use it, or somebody who can transition to it? Or what if I were able to get this now, inject it into my business, and then somebody's using it, they're going through these routes, they're going through these brokers, we have these contracts, we're getting an extra 30 to 40,000 in just because we have a new truck. So now you know that within 3 or 4 months, you'll be an extra $40,000 in, and dispersed, maybe it is an extra 10 to 20,000 per month. So you have to understand this, and then you're gonna say, well, I also have to hire on more people, business expenses, payroll. So that not necessarily will help grow and expand my business, maybe hiring more people, but it's just to keep my business stable and afloat. Hello. And sorry, I'm having people commenting. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, who's he saying hello to? I have people who are commenting here on TikTok, so I appreciate you guys for being here and listening as always. And feel free to leave me a comment. Have you received EIDL funding? Have you been preparing for an EIDL loan alternative, PPP alternative, ERTC program, any other type of funding program, even grants as well? Let me know that in the comments. And you can find everything in the bio and or in the description. So really have a game plan. Sit down with your co-owner or yourself, your accountant, come together and think about, or your marketing team, sales team, and all your departments, and think about what these funds need to be allocated into before you go start an application. I say this time and time again, do not apply for funding if you don't need it, right? We get to a point as a business owner where we just go start an application and we're just trying to see, we're window shopping. We're like walking down, think about it as walking in a mall. You have the bottom floor, you have the top floor. Think about the bottom floor being like the low level lenders and the top being the 8th tier lenders. And you're just going up and down the escalators, the elevators, you're going up the stairs, down the stairs, and you're just seeing something you like. You might enter the store, you may ask a few questions, you'll leave, you'll go to the next one to find the best one. There may be a few hat stores in that area. So you're shopping at Champs, and you're at this one, and then at that one. And these are all great stores, by the way. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with them. I'm just saying you're going from one store to the next, and you're just trying to get an idea. Maybe you haven't given them anything, but it's a bit the same when you think about getting business funding. Yes, take a look around, but don't just start an application. And when you receive an offer, if you've been declined, that ends up in the systems. You guys don't understand that if you just start applying everywhere and you get denied, you go to the next thing because that didn't work. And then you go to the next one, and then you're on top of the next one. It's like you're just trying to get the next hit. Like you weren't happy with what you were given. You weren't happy with the results. And so now you're going from one lender, one brokerage to the next. You're already in the system. You're showing up on the data merge because you've applied so much. We're cautious of you. And if you've received an offer, lenders will give you a certain amount of time. Like right now, I have a lot of people on a schedule, I have people right now who are back and forth. I have a lot of people right now who, excuse me, I had a vegetable juice. This happens from time to time if you've heard me say this. And I'll get to your guys' comments in just a second. But I have people like right now, a lot of them who don't want to provide the lender with their banking verification, with their account information, in a sense that we have to be able to see if you have anything negative in the account. We got to look a little bit more extensively at the final underwriting process. A lot of the time we have to verify a few things, and we have to be able to make sure we can make these ACH deposits, however you're getting it, or however we have to receive our funding back. Like the lender has to make sure that you're getting taken out a daily, weekly, a monthly remittance, or however that's working in that schedule. So it's not like it's fraudulent activity. I have business owners right now who are not feeling safe about that. But when I speak to you, if you're that individual, I'll tell you this is very safe and secure. Maybe it's not in a different program because you have to be careful. But with our lenders, our team of underwriters, myself as an expert broker, I will help you very well. And just be sure that at the end of the day, I want to be able to go to bed at night, that I can sleep, that I didn't do anything wrong, that I'm not shaking, because I don't want to be that person and I don't want you to have to go through it. So it is very safe and secure. Those are just the final steps in underwriting. We have to verify, making sure there's no negative stuff, not sufficient funds in some cases, even more. And then we'll have to also verify banking information, and we have to do the linking of the banking account to make sure that we can deposit those funds as well as be able to get the funds out on your payback. So understand that. And again, it goes back to everything at the beginning. Have a game plan, know what you're getting yourself into, and don't blame anything on anybody, or don't even blame yourself. Don't feel bad because there's a lack of education out there. Hey, how are you doing, man? Haven't heard from you in some time. Have you been? I think it's been weeks. A lot of people vacationing, a lot of people taking time away from their business. I'm not sure if you're in that right now, but I did. I took a little bit of time in California, as you may have known, but back now. If you just tuned in, like I think you did, I was going into the EIDL, how there are still funds available for limited people already in the queue. I don't want to say people who are going to start applications because that's already ended some time ago. But for those of you who have been in the queue trying to get processed, then I already went over how you should have received an email, a lot of you, on the same day, if not on a day before or thereafter. And there's instructions on what to do, what documentation, what information you'll need to provide, and why it is very important, and it was very important for you to download all the documentation that was in the back office in your SBA portal, as I was able to do myself. And that was expected of many of you. And I had released a video on how to do that and what information was going to be needed and supplied. This will also be uploaded onto the YouTube channel. So for those of you questioning, can I watch this again? I need to understand what you said in the beginning so you don't have to reiterate it. You can rewind it to the very front, and that's where it'll be segmented into. So I'm going to leave this open for a few more minutes if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns. And while you guys do that, I'm going to speak very quickly on some private lending options. If you guys are still on the fence, are unsure about what you should be doing right now to prepare for the future, this impending recession that we could be hitting, just strap in. Don't feel rushed, but at the same time, don't take a lot of your time. And why I say that is because there are reserves that these private lenders are looking to give business owners, more so the banks. And so with the banks, with prime rates gone up now, they're trying to allocate these funds to these business owners who really do need them, and they're bringing up their funding criteria, and it's making it a lot harder to get business funding. There are a lot of businesses who need it, who need to work on this and that, but there's limited amount being distributed between all these different industries. So I always recommend having a line of credit if you don't have one right now. And those of you who do, great. You may have already received an increase. You may be looking for a lump sum of funding, but that's what you want to do, is get a line of credit. And if you need help with this and much more, I recommend going to the bio and in the description, again, if you're watching this later on YouTube, click the business loan questionnaire form or similar, that link. It'll bring you to my webpage. Simply fill out some funding details, and I will analyze this and I will evaluate it and give you a proper response. And this is like a very thorough response. So make sure to fill that out, and I'll weigh all the options for you like I've already done to a lot of people today. And if you're one of those people, you can get started right then and there. You submit the questionnaire on the thank you page, you can already get started. I'll present to you all the options available, like accounts receivable, real estate financing, working capital, business lines of credits, different ones, asset-based financing, personal/startup loans, and a lot more. So right then and there, you can already get in and just look at all the information and say, hey, this is how I can get started. I watched this video or I read this piece of content. I know the expectations. I can go get started on my application. And what happens a lot of the time, everybody, I'll leave you guys with this. You can already submit documentation in your application. What I mean by that is a lot of this is digitally now. So don't always expect it to be a PDF application. You fill it out, you send it back to me, or however it gets sent back. You can upload everything already right then and there. So you start your application, go through the sequence, and you can be asked, hey, upload your 3 months of bank statements, a voided check, and a copy of your driver's license. And it's very safe and secure. Honestly, it is. And once that's submitted, I can see a lot of that. We have a back office, and it's all getting submitted here and there to our officers, to our underwriters. Lenders are getting access on it. And we're just verifying things. We're not just sending that information to anybody else for the fact that it would hurt your credit or anything like that. No, we'll go ahead and find your best offer in a lot of cases. And sometimes it is direct that I'm asking for with these direct lenders. A lot of the times it's brokerages, which is better because you get presented a lot of offers, and sometimes you can get multiple ones and sometimes just one. But we went and saw from the best lenders and the best underwriters and everybody else out there. So that is what I'm going to leave you guys with. I know it wasn't as brief, but I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Everything will be in the description. Make sure to refer to the bio for more help. And I don't need to go more into the recap, but EIDL, PPP, Employee Retention Tax Credit, grants, anything like that, refer to the bio description for all information. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Take care.